Part of the fun of science fiction films is looking at them as a possible future we could end up having. Some are a bit pessimistic, but others occasionally optimistic. And with so many predictions, some were bound to come true. Okay, hopefully not that one. So let's look at some past science fiction films to see what they got right, and 11 times science fiction films predicted the future. There's no other perfect way to kick off this list than allowing Jim Carrey to tell us why the future is now.
Soon every American home will integrate their television, phone, and computer. You'll be able to visit the Louvre on one channel, or watch female mud wrestling on another. You can do your shopping at home, or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam.
Jim Carrey's The Cable Guy was released in 1996, during a time when the internet was a new burgeoning thing and slowly becoming more prominent. Still, the idea of combining a phone, computer, and television was unheard of at the time, and now we can't imagine a world without video calls, online shopping, and multiplayer gaming. So maybe The Cable Guy wasn't so insane after all.
I just want to hang out. No big deal.
Oh. While I mostly remember the 1990 film Total Recall for the great job it did with making us question, is Arnold Schwarzenegger in a dream the whole time, or is what he's experiencing reality? This Mars-traveling sci-fi movie had a number of futuristic predictions, from brain-implemented memories to computerized wall monitors. And one where they mostly hit the nail on the head was in showcasing self-driving cars. The self-driving cars of Total Recall have robots who act as drivers.
You're in a Johnny Cat.
But practically, it's just a car that drives itself with the illusion of a driver. Today's self-driving cars don't have robotic chauffeurs, but they certainly are a reality and becoming only more prominent, especially with the advent of 5G. Drones have been around for a while. The first quadcopter was created in 1907, and remote control airplanes were commercially available as early as in the 1950s. Similarly, the military has been working on fighter drones since at least World War I. During this war, the Navy hired Elmer Sperry to develop cutting-edge drones they dubbed aerial torpedoes. But supposedly they rarely worked and had limited functionality. Once again, during World War II, various worldwide militaries attempted to develop an unmanned drone using the limited remote control technology of the day, but to disastrous results. Enter the Terminator.
I'll be back.
Among other things, this 1984 film showcased a future where militaristic robots slaughtered humans utilizing a variety of methods, including unmanned drones. It wasn't until the late 90s that computing technology was at a point where advancements in military drone warfare became possible, and eventually, after 9/11, became a reality. Today, unmanned military drones are used in warfare, with them regularly being used by the US for its war on terror. Fortunately, they haven't been controlled by robots against all of mankind. The excellent 2002 film Minority Report, based on the short story of the same name, shows a future where people are arrested for crimes psychics predicted they'll commit before they've ever actually committed that crime. It's another sci-fi film about the cost of technology and how acting on it can go too far. Alongside this, the film had a rich world building, with director Steven Spielberg specifically putting together a think tank of scientists to come up with plausible predictions for what the world might look like in 2054. As a result, we saw automated cars, touchscreen computers, and many more ideas that are either now reality or on the brink of reality. One such idea was the personalized ads we see directed at Tom Cruise's character, John Anderton.
Good evening, John.
You can move the old-fashioned way.
John Anderton, 21 Styles provides gourmet cuisine.
John Anderton, you could use a Guinness right about now.
While we don't necessarily have video ads saying our name, with the advent of Facebook as well as Google tracking user data and habits, personalized ads are just a part of our reality today. Ads on YouTube are specifically directed to you based on your prior habits, and similarly, Facebook ads are marketed directly to you based on what the site believes are your interests. Not every piece of future technology is necessarily a good thing. Trials of Mana just came out? Oh, sick, I'm gonna have to buy that. Ever since mankind noticed the stars above, we dreamed of one day traveling to them. So it's no surprise that an older film would have predicted that at some point, man would travel to the moon. Between books, comics, and film, there have been countless depictions of this. So the winner predicting we one day land on the moon is 1902's Le Voyage dans la Lune, or A Trip to the Moon. This film is often cited as one of the most influential early cinematic endeavors of all time, with its scene depicting a rocket ship hitting the man on the moon's eye being one of the most iconic scenes in all of cinematic history. While we don't shoot rocket ships out of cannons, nor are there a species of moon men on the moon, the film did still accurately predict that we would one day make it to the moon. Now on to Mars! Stuck at home for some unforeseen reason for a month, or 2, or 3? Well, 1995's The Net predicted that you'd one day be able to order a pizza online. While the internet did exist in 1995, hence the premise of the film, with Sandra Bullock telecommuting to work from home, this was the era of AOL, so online food ordering options was extremely limited. That said, the first time anyone was able to order food online was in 1994 with Pizza Hut, but the practice wasn't widespread yet, so I'm gonna give this film a pass.
No one leaves the house anymore. No one has sex. The net is ultimate condom.
Wait, did it predict 2020? Today, it's a common sight to find a billboard that uses a monitor display with a repeating video advertisement, as opposed to just traditional photos. But these digital billboards were a relatively recent invention, with the advent of digital displays and LEDs. Ridley Scott's 1982 film Blade Runner was ahead of the curve. Blade Runner showcases digital billboards and advertisements throughout its dystopian-esque Los Angeles, which at the time seemed to be a feature of a faraway future. While these digital advertisements did come true, as an LA citizen, I can say that I'm extremely glad that the constant reign of Blade Runner's Los Angeles did not come true. Stanley Kubrick's 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey dazzled audiences with a potential future filled with routine space travel, computers, and other elements that were then considered science fiction but have now come true. The first of these we're going to look at is the video phone Haywood Floyd uses to call his family.
Hello? How are you, Squirt?
There actually was extremely rudimentary video conferencing as early as in the 1930s, but it wasn't until computers of the 1980s and webcams of the 1990s that this technology truly started to become available. FaceTime had also been seen before in Star Trek the original series back when it debuted 2 years prior to A Space Odyssey in 1966, which, hey, we did a whole video on time Star Trek predicted and or inspired the future you can also check out. But we're talking about films, damn it. Another prediction 2001: A Space Odyssey got right was its depiction of voice interface computers. The idea of HAL, the sentient computer of 2001, was so far ahead of its time, technology wouldn't catch up until Siri was introduced in 2010 to consumers everywhere.
Hey Siri, set timer for 14 minutes.
Okay, 14 minutes and counting.
Waiting for cookies.
Even then, smart speakers on devices outside of phones wouldn't come into prominence until the late 2010s. Fortunately, voice interface computers haven't become homicidal. Yet. As the premise of 1989's Back to the Future 2 involves Marty McFly heading, this time, 30 years into the future, from 1985 to 2015, we see plenty of 80s-style guesses at what the future might be like, from fashion involving self-tying shoes to flying cars and holographic advertisements. Many of these sadly didn't come true. I'm still holding out for one day finally having a hoverboard. No, not one of those, one of these. But for all of its 2015 predictions we haven't reached yet, there was one in particular that has come true, that being Google Glass. The idea of wearable smart glasses began work in the late 90s, but smart glasses wouldn't see the light of day until the Google Glass prototype of 2011. While Star Trek often gets the nod for portraying a more realistic future, Star Wars has also finally seen this technology reach reality. That's right, lightsabers are finally real. Okay, sadly, that's just lightsaber fencing and not real lightsabers. But while we don't currently have lightsabers, we have seen holograms move beyond science fiction and into reality.
This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Today, while holograms aren't the norm for sending encoded messages, they have become a reality, and we've seen them used for musical performances with holograms of Tupac, Michael Jackson, and more. There you have 11 times sci-fi films predicted the future. What are some of your favorite examples of films where you watched it back in the day and were blown away by the technology, only for it to become a reality and something you can actually use today? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.